You know, when we talk about health and longevity, people often go straight to the heart, the brain, or the gut. Those systems get all the attention, and rightfully so. But there's another network quietly working in the background, one that most people never think about, yet it influences how you feel, how you look, and even how fast you age. It's called the lymphatic system, and if you don't understand it, you're leaving one of the most powerful tools for health and vitality completely untapped. The lymphatic system is your body's hidden highway, a network of vessels, nodes, and ducts that runs parallel to your circulatory system. But instead of moving blood, it moves lymph, a clear, watery fluid that carries away cellular waste, toxins, bacteria, and excess fluids. You could think of it like the body's sanitation department. Every day, your cells are producing waste, breaking down proteins, and generating byproducts of metabolism. If these don't get cleared, they begin to clog, to stagnate. The lymphatic system is what prevents that buildup. It cleans, filters, and keeps everything flowing. Now, here's the fascinating part. Unlike the cardiovascular system, your lymphatic system doesn't have a pump. There's no heart beating to push lymph through your vessels. It depends entirely on movement, muscle contractions, joint motion, and even breathing. That means your lifestyle determines how well it functions. Sit too long, breathe too shallowly, or live in chronic stress, and that lymphatic flow slows down. The result: fatigue, puffiness, inflammation, brain fog, and a general sense that your body is holding on to something it doesn't need. But when the lymphatic system is active and free, flowing, everything changes. Energy improves, skin clears, inflammation goes down, and your immune system becomes sharper. You feel lighter, your body becomes more efficient at repairing itself. This isn't some fringe wellness concept, it's basic physiology. The lymphatic network connects directly with your immune system through lymph nodes, which act like small biological checkpoints. They filter out debris and pathogens, and when something harmful appears, immune cells activate right there to neutralize it. So when your lymphatic flow improves, your immune response strengthens naturally. You can literally feel it when your lymphatic system starts functioning properly. That fogginess that sits behind your eyes after a long, stagnant day, it lifts. The dull, heavy feeling in your limbs after sitting for hours. It disappears. Your face loses that morning puffiness, and interestingly, people often report a shift in mood as well. They feel calmer, more alert, more awake in their own body. That's because lymphatic flow isn't just physical detoxification. It changes the internal chemistry of your system. When the body clears waste efficiently, the brain functions more clearly. I want you to imagine your lymphatic system like a series of rivers running through your body. When the rivers flow, everything downstream thrives, tissues are nourished, waste is removed, and life moves easily. But when those rivers stagnate, things start to rot. The surrounding land floods, organisms suffocate, and decay sets in. The same happens inside your body. Most people don't realize that chronic inflammation, sluggish recovery, and even premature aging are often just symptoms of blocked internal flow. And what blocks it? Sedentary behavior, dehydration, poor posture, and shallow breathing, all things modern life practically encourages. We live in chairs, we stare at screens, we breathe only into the top third of our lungs. Meanwhile, our lymphatic network quietly slows down, screaming for movement, for circulation, for deep, rhythmic oxygenation. When you start paying attention to it through movement, hydration, stretching, breathing, it's as if the entire body wakes up again. This is why the healthiest-looking people often have a certain vitality that goes beyond fitness or genetics. Their systems are moving, there's flow, there's rhythm, there's internal clarity. They're not just exercising, they're circulating life itself. And this is where science and aesthetics meet, because when you improve lymphatic health, your external appearance reflects it. Skin becomes smoother, inflammation decreases, and there's a glow that no skincare routine alone can create. The takeaway is simple. Your lymphatic system is not optional. It's not some alternative wellness trend. It's fundamental biology. It's the infrastructure of your body's self-cleaning, self-healing, and self-renewing mechanisms. When it's healthy, you feel it in your energy, your skin, your mood, and your ability to recover. When it's not, everything slows down: your metabolism, your immune function, your mental clarity. So, if you want to build a foundation for real, lasting health and appearance, start by waking up your lymphatic system. Move, breathe, hydrate. Because inside you is a living river, and everything about your vitality depends on whether or not it flows. When the lymphatic system slows down, something subtle but powerful begins to happen. You might not notice it right away. Maybe you just feel a little more tired than usual. Maybe your skin doesn't look as bright, or your joints feel a bit stiffer in the morning. But what's really happening inside is stagnation. The body's internal rivers, the lymphatic channels, begin to back up. And when that flow halts, inflammation takes its place. Inflammation isn't just a word you hear tossed around in health podcasts. It's a biological alarm system, and when the lymphatic system can't clear waste efficiently, that alarm never shuts off. The result is a low-grade, chronic inflammation that quietly damages tissue, accelerates aging, and blurs your sense of vitality. It's the body's way of saying, "I'm trying to clean up, but the garbage truck stopped running." See, your cells are constantly metabolizing, creating energy, repairing DNA, and building proteins. That process creates waste, and the lymphatic system is the cleanup crew. When it's sluggish, that cellular waste lingers. Toxins accumulate, and the immune system has to work overtime. The body becomes like a city where the streets haven't been cleaned for weeks. Trash piles up, air quality drops, and systems begin to break down. That's what stagnation feels like on a biological level, and you can see it on the outside. The puffiness under the eyes, the dull complexion, the sense that no matter how much you sleep or drink water, you still look tired. That's not just cosmetic. That's fluid retention, poor lymph drainage, and low-grade inflammation under the skin. It's your body expressing what's happening deep inside. We often talk about aging as something that just happens with time, as if it's some mysterious countdown beyond our control. But aging is also a process of accumulated inflammation and cellular stress. When your lymphatic system is slow, those inflammatory molecules linger longer. They damage collagen, they weaken connective tissue, and they send signals that shift the body toward breakdown rather than repair. In other words, poor lymph flow doesn't just make you feel older, it makes you age faster. But the inverse is also true. When the lymph system moves freely, the body clears those inflammatory signals efficiently. Recovery improves, skin tightens, energy returns, and mental clarity sharpens. You start to feel the way your body was designed to feel, alive, responsive, and capable of healing itself. What's remarkable is that people often chase this feeling in all the wrong ways. They try detox teas, extreme diets, expensive creams, or endless supplements. Yet the real detox is already built into your physiology. The lymphatic system is your detox system. It doesn't need to be hacked. It needs to be activated. And activation happens through movement, breath, hydration, and conscious living. The basics most people overlook because they seem too simple to matter. You can think of it like this: inflammation and stagnation are partners in crime. The longer your body stays still, the more those inflammatory compounds stick around. The longer they stick around, the more your cells operate in survival mode instead of growth mode. The body starts defending instead of repairing. Over time, that becomes visible in your skin, your posture, your energy, even your emotional state. Because there's another piece here, the mind-body connection. When lymphatic flow slows and inflammation builds, it affects brain chemistry. Cytokines, the molecules that signal inflammation, influence mood and focus. People who feel sluggish physically often feel dull mentally, anxious, or unmotivated. That's not coincidence, it's chemistry. Your brain is an organ of the body, and when the body is stagnant, the mind reflects it. That's why improving lymph flow doesn't just make you look better, it changes how you think and feel. The fog lifts, the emotional heaviness lightens. You start to feel a sense of vitality that's difficult to describe until you experience it. It's not just energy, it's clarity. So when you notice signs of inflammation, puffiness, stiffness, fatigue, that constant low hum of discomfort, don't just chase symptoms. Look deeper, ask yourself if your body's inner flow has slowed, because stagnation equals inflammation, and inflammation equals aging. You can interrupt that cycle, not through complicated biohacks or miracle products, but by restoring movement to your system. The body is not designed to decay, it's designed to adapt. Give it flow, and it will renew itself. Block that flow, and it will rust from the inside out. The difference between decline and vitality often comes down to one simple truth. When your internal rivers flow, you don't just survive, you regenerate. The lymphatic system is one of the few systems in the body that depends entirely on you to make it work. It has no central pump, no automatic engine driving its circulation. It relies on movement, on motion, pressure, breath, and contraction. Every muscle that flexes, every step that lands, every deep breath you take acts like a small mechanical pump that moves lymph through the vessels, filters it through the nodes, and sends it back into the bloodstream clean and recharged. In a very real sense, the body's internal health is governed by how much we move, not just in the gym, but in life. This is why physical inactivity doesn't just weaken the body, it clogs it. When we spend long hours sitting, shoulders rounded, breathing shallowly, muscles idle, the lymph system slows to a crawl. Waste accumulates, fluid pools in the tissues. The body begins to feel heavy, swollen, and fatigued. That stiffness in the morning, that brain fog in the afternoon, that feeling of being off, without knowing why often, it's stagnation. Not illness, not aging, but stagnation. Movement is how you restore flow. It doesn't have to be extreme. It doesn't require hours in a gym or punishing discipline. Even gentle, rhythmic movement creates powerful internal changes. Walking, stretching, rebounding, yoga, swimming, all of these encourage the mechanical contractions that push lymph fluid through the vessels. The science is simple. Motion equals detoxification. The more you move, the more you circulate, and the more your system purifies itself. When you exercise, you're not just building muscle or burning calories. You're literally pumping your body's waste removal system. Each muscle contraction compresses lymph vessels, forcing the fluid forward. The heart has its own rhythm. The lymphatic system borrows yours. That means your movement defines your circulation. Think about that for a moment. Your willingness to move determines how efficiently your body can clean and heal itself. Now, there's something almost poetic about that, because it means health isn't something that happens to you, it's something you participate in. The act of moving, of stretching, of breathing deeply, becomes a dialogue between you and your biology. You're telling your body, we're alive, we're active, keep flowing, and this doesn't just affect the body, it affects the brain. Movement increases lymph flow in the brain's own version of this system, the lymphatic network. It's what clears metabolic waste from neural tissue, including beta, amyloid, and tau proteins linked to neurodegenerative diseases. When you move, your brain cleans itself. That's why people report mental clarity after exercise. The fog lifts because the waste clears. The mind feels lighter because the body is draining properly. If you've ever felt that rush after a walk outside where suddenly ideas come more easily, problems seem smaller, and you just feel better, that's not an illusion. It's your nervous system and lymphatic system sinking into a state of flow. It's biochemical clarity. And the body rewards you for it, not with dopamine spikes or adrenaline bursts, but with deep, sustainable energy, the kind that makes you feel steady, grounded, and capable. Now, in the modern world, we've made the mistake of separating movement from daily life. We confine it to a workout window, a 30-minute slot squeezed between obligations. But our ancestors didn't work out, they simply moved constantly, naturally, rhythmically. Their lymph systems were active because their lives demanded motion. Today, if you sit for 12 hours and move for one, your system is trying to perform a day's worth of detox in a single burst. That's not how biology evolved. The key is frequency, not intensity, movement as a lifestyle, not a punishment. Stretch when you wake up, walk after meals, breathe deeply during stress, take the stairs, dance, rebound, lift, twist, bend, all of it counts. Every small action signals your lymphatic system to circulate. Every contraction keeps the rivers flowing. Because when you stop moving, your body doesn't just get weaker, it starts to suffocate under its own waste. But when you move, even lightly, you remind the system of what it was designed to do: flow, cleanse, and renew. You can feel it when that switch flips. Your energy returns, your focus sharpens, your skin clears, and your mood lifts. That's not coincidence. That's physiology responding to rhythm. The lymphatic system isn't asking for perfection, it's asking for participation. Your body doesn't need you to conquer mountains, it just needs you to move. Because movement isn't optional biology, it's the language through which life itself continues to speak. Most people think of breathing as something automatic, something that just happens in background, and for survival, that's true. But for optimal health, breathing isn't automatic, it's intentional. It's one of the most powerful tools we have to influence the lymphatic system, the nervous system, and the overall state of the body. The breath is the bridge between the voluntary and involuntary parts of our biology. It's how we access control over things most people assume can't be consciously changed, things like heart rate, lymph flow, and stress hormones. Deep, diaphragmatic breathing is one of the body's natural pumps for the lymphatic system. Each time you breathe deeply into your abdomen, your diaphragm moves downward, creating pressure changes that literally pull lymph fluid through the chest and abdomen. It's a mechanical process as much as it is a physiological one. The diaphragm acts like a piston, moving fluid upward toward the thoracic duct, which empties into the bloodstream. When you breathe shallowly into your chest, with quick, tight inhales, you rob the body of that internal rhythm. The lymph stagnates, the oxygen delivery drops, and the body starts to run in a state of low-grade stress. You can see this in people who live under chronic tension. Their shoulders are tight, their breathing fast and shallow. They live in what's called a sympathetic state, the fight-or-flight mode. The problem is, when you live there too long, your biology forgets how to relax. The lymphatic system slows down, immune activity becomes chaotic, digestion weakens, and the mind becomes noisy. But the moment you take control of your breath, the moment you begin to slow it down and send it deep into the diaphragm, the entire system recalibrates. The parasympathetic response activates, inflammation drops, and the internal flow begins again. What's remarkable is that this isn't mystical or abstract. Its anatomy. The diaphragm sits at the center of everything, the lungs above it, the gut below it, major lymph vessels running right through it. Each deep breath literally squeezes and massages the organs, pumping fluid, improving circulation, and signaling safety to the brain. It's one of the simplest ways to improve both physiological and psychological health, and yet most people never use it. They breathe just enough to stay alive, not enough to thrive. But once you start paying attention to your breath, not just in meditation, but throughout the day, you notice something incredible. When you're calm, your breath deepens naturally. When you're anxious, it shortens. When you focus on lengthening your exhale, your heart rate drops, your muscles loosen, and your mind clears. It's a direct communication line with your nervous system, and through it, your lymphatic flow. Think about it like this. The body is designed to move fluid through breath. Every inhale expands the ribs and draws lymph upward. Every exhale contracts the muscles, pushing that fluid through the ducts. When you breathe deeply, you're creating internal motion, the same kind of motion that movement gives, but from the inside out. And when that motion is rhythmic, the body interprets it as balance, as safety. That's why people who breathe properly don't just have more energy. They recover faster, sleep deeper, and handle stress with far greater resilience. You can practice this anywhere. Take a slow inhale through your nose for 4 seconds. Feel the abdomen expand first, then the ribs, then the chest. Hold for a moment, then exhale slowly, letting everything release. Do that a few times and watch what happens. Your heart rate slows, your mind steadies, your shoulders drop. That's the nervous system responding to oxygen and pressure. You're pumping lymph, oxygenating cells, and signaling calm all at once. This is also why breathwork practices, whether they come from science, meditation, or performance training, all converge on the same principle. Controlled breath creates controlled biology. It's not just about mindfulness or relaxation, it's about physiology. You're engaging the diaphragm, moving fluid, and tuning the system toward repair. And here's what's fascinating. The lymphatic system doesn't respond to words, or motivation, or willpower. It responds to rhythm. When the breath finds rhythm, so does the body. When you take deep, intentional breaths, you create a wave that ripples through your entire system, a wave of motion, of release, of flow. That's how you reawaken the natural intelligence of the body. The breath is the quiet metronome of life, always there, always accessible. And when you learn to use it consciously, you unlock one of the most profound healing mechanisms built into your biology. Because when the breath moves deeply, the body follows, and when the body follows, everything begins to flow again. There are moments when the body needs a little help to reset, not through supplements or shortcuts, but through simple, physical interventions that remind the system how to flow again. Movement and breath are the foundations, but sometimes you have to manually signal the body to wake up its own circulation. This is where touch, temperature, and stimulation come in. They're not luxuries. They're physiological tools, ways of communicating directly with your lymphatic system. The body responds powerfully to contact and temperature shifts because both create stress, small, beneficial challenges that activate circulation and repair. When you stimulate the surface of the skin through massage, dry brushing, sauna, or cold exposure, you're engaging the deeper layers of the lymphatic network. You're literally pushing and pulling fluid through vessels that might otherwise remain stagnant. It's mechanical cleansing, and the science behind it is elegant. Lymphatic drainage massage, for example, uses light, rhythmic strokes to guide lymph fluid toward the nodes, where it's filtered and recirculated. It's not deep, it's not forceful, it's rhythmic. That rhythm mirrors the body's natural movement patterns and signals the vessels to open and close, pushing fluid forward. You feel lighter afterward, not just because of relaxation, but because your body's fluid dynamics have changed. The swelling subsides, inflammation decreases, and tissues begin to breathe again. Dry brushing works in a similar way, but it also stimulates the skin's sensory nerves and superficial lymph vessels. It's a gentle exfoliation, yes, but more importantly, it's a daily conversation with your circulatory system. A few minutes before a shower, brushing toward the heart, wakes up the body's outermost detox pathways, the skin and lymph capillaries just beneath it. That's not cosmetic vanity, it's biology. Then there's heat. The sauna, one of the oldest forms of therapy known to humans, remains one of the most effective tools for lymphatic health. When you expose your body to controlled heat, the heart rate increases, vessels dilate, and circulation surges. Sweat production doesn't just cool you down, it's part of the body's excretory system. You're flushing water, salts, and certain metabolic byproducts right through the skin. Meanwhile, the increased blood and lymph flow nourish tissues and accelerate repair. Studies show that consistent sauna use can lower inflammation markers, improve immune function, and enhance cardiovascular health. But at its core, it's doing something beautifully simple. It's reminding the body how to circulate. And then there's cold. If heat expands, cold constricts. And when you alternate between the two, you create a powerful pump effect. That's why hot, cold contrast showers are so potent. The sudden shift from warmth to cold causes vessels to contract and then reopen, propelling fluid through the body with force. It's a form of vascular exercise, a training ground for resilience. The body adapts by improving circulation, efficiency, and stress tolerance. You feel more awake, more focused, and sharper afterward because that flush of cold triggers norpine, freeing release in the brain, the chemical of alertness and drive. These practices, massage, brushing, sauna, cold exposure, might seem like small acts, but together they create a profound internal shift. They restore the rhythm of flow that modern life tends to dull. You can feel it almost immediately. The heaviness in the body lifts, the puffiness fades, your mood stabilizes. That's not just psychological, it's your lymphatic system doing its job, assisted by deliberate physical input. There's also something deeply grounding about this kind of self-care. It's not indulgence, it's participation. You're not outsourcing health to a product or a pill. You're engaging directly with your physiology, reawakening systems that evolve to thrive through stimulus. You're training the body to adapt to self-correct, to renew itself through friction and flow, and in that process, something interesting happens to the mind. People who make these practices consistent, who end their showers cold, who sit in the sauna a few times a week, who massage or brush daily, begin to notice a mental shift. They feel calmer, more alert, more capable of handling stress. That's not coincidence. When you stimulate the body properly, you regulate the nervous system. The two are inseparable. In the end, these practices remind you of a fundamental truth. The body wants to heal, to flow, to balance itself. It just needs signals, movement, breath, temperature, touch. When you give it those signals, it doesn't just respond, it transforms. Because health isn't created by comfort. It's created by rhythm, by stimulus, by flow, and by your willingness to meet your body halfway. At the end of the day, all the movement, breathing, and stimulation in the world won't matter if the internal environment of the body isn't nourished properly. The lymphatic system is made of living tissue, fluid, vessels, valves, and immune cells, and like anything alive, it depends on the quality of what you give it. You can think of it this way: your lymph is about 96% water. That means hydration isn't optional, it's the primary nutrient of the system. Without it, the fluid thickens, flow slows, and every cellular process becomes more difficult. When people feel sluggish, bloated, or foggy, they often underestimate how much of it comes down to simple dehydration. The blood becomes thicker, the lymph moves slower, and the body has to work harder just to maintain equilibrium. But the solution is equally simple: drinking clean, mineral-rich water throughout the day, not all at once, but consistently, keeps the system fluid. Add a pinch of sea salt or a squeeze of lemon, and you restore electrolytes that help the body actually absorb that water instead of flushing it out. Hydration isn't about volume, it's about integration. Food plays its role too. What you eat directly influences the chemistry of your lymph. Processed foods, refined oils, and excessive sugar increase inflammation and make the lymph more viscous, more sluggish. Anti-inflammatory foods, fresh fruits, leafy greens, herbs like turmeric and ginger, citrus, berries, cruciferous vegetables do the opposite. They thin the lymph, energize immune function, and bring clarity to the system. A single meal rich in antioxidants and hydration can have measurable effects on circulation and energy within hours. The body listens immediately when you feed it well, and it's not only about what you add, it's also about what you stop burdening your body with. Overeating, constant snacking, or eating late into the night forces the lymphatic system to focus on digestion instead of detoxification. When you give the body a break through fasting, or even just allowing several hours between meals, it redirects that energy toward repair. That's when the cleansing mechanisms, the autophagy, the internal housekeeping, begin to take over. The lymphatic system thrives on rhythm, periods of nourishment followed by periods of rest. Now, All of that forms the physical side of nourishment. But there's another dimension, the mental and emotional environment that surrounds it. Because even if you eat perfectly and move consistently, chronic stress can undo it all. Stress tightens muscles, constricts vessels, and literally reduces lymph flow. The chemistry of fear and anxiety, cortisol, adrenaline, makes the body hold tension. It's as if the system braces itself for impact and never fully releases. When you live like that, perpetually on edge, always rushing, scrolling, reacting, you create physiological stagnation. It's not just a metaphor, your cells are listening to your emotions. That's why relaxation, gratitude, and presence aren't abstract wellness ideas. They're biochemical realities. A calm mind widens vessels, balances hormones, and restores flow. People often think of mindfulness as mental hygiene. It's also lymphatic hygiene. Even your posture tells the story. When you're tense and hunched, lymph stagnates in the neck, shoulders, and chest. When you're open, upright, breathing deeply, you allow that network to do its job. So, cultivating a mindset of calmness, not apathy but composure, is one of the most profound ways to support the lymphatic system. And there's a certain feedback loop here. When you eat well, hydrate deeply, and rest properly, you're more emotionally stable. When you're emotionally stable, your physiology responds with clarity and rhythm. The system feeds itself. That's how health is built, not through isolated habits, but through interconnected ones that reinforce each other. Sleep, too, is part of that equation. The lymphatic system doesn't stop at the neck. Its counterpart in the brain, the glymphatic system, activates most efficiently during deep sleep. That's when the brain clears metabolic waste, resets neurotransmitters, and restores mental clarity. Skip that deep rest, and toxins literally build up in neural tissue. The next day you feel it, the fog, the irritability, the fatigue. It's not just tiredness, it's the brain's drainage system running behind schedule. So when you think about improving your lymphatic health, think beyond the physical. Think about nourishment in the full sense of the word, what you feed your body, what you feed your mind, and what you allow yourself to feel. Every thought, every bite, every breath is part of one continuous feedback system. Because when you nourish flow with clean water, whole food, rest, and peace, the body responds with clarity, strength, and beauty. And in that harmony, you discover something simple and profound. Your health has always been waiting on your willingness to create the right conditions for it to flow.